If you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back again and it is Tuesday, April 16th, and it is 11:12 p.m. Now, I was planning on coming back and doing a Q-related news video, but unfortunately I can't. And I'll tell you why I can't. Because in between uploading that, I have discovered more information that I really feel compelled to get out there. So I'm going to do that. This video is not going to be long at all, but I do want to get this out there. So let me continue on. Hopefully you have seen the first video on the fire at Notre Dame. If not, this video should still make sense without viewing the former one. But I do have some additional information and I do think that it's pretty important to get out. So now some of you may not agree with me, and that is fine, but I think that those of you who are believers will understand where I'm going with this. Now let's come down here. This is where I left off, and I want to add a few things that I think are pretty critical, to tell you the truth. Number one is this from Stam Patty. The churches on fire in France in 2018 was 875. What she is saying is that there were 875 church fires in France in 2018. I find that really quite unbelievable. Too much to be coincidence, if you ask me. Now, maybe some of these fires, these churches burnt to the ground, and maybe some of them, it was a fire that was put out. I don't know. But there was 875. Now, people were trying to get that point across to journalists during the fire at Notre Dame. They were trying to get it across to people that, you know what, this isn't unusual. There's been a whole spate of other fires, but they were cut off. And I witnessed that myself, and I'm sure you did as well if you were watching Fox News. It was done by Shepard Smith, and it was also done by Neil Cavuto. And I'm quite certain it probably happened on other networks as well. So there is a war on Christianity and our civilization. Only the Europeans refuse to realize it. Oh, it's not just the Europeans. Not just the Europeans. I think we're all quite aware of that. On Fox News, Shepard Smith, a French public official, got cut off by Smith trying to explain these facts. Now, this may not have been worded correctly, but I think we all understand what this person is trying to get across. Now, let's go back. Now, if you watched the last video, you will have seen this, but I do want this video to make sense to those who may be viewing this without watching the previous one. So I want us to go back and just visit this for a moment. This from I Pet Goat. It was released in 2012 by a firm called Heliofant, which is from Quebec in Canada here, and it is completely encoded with a lot of information. Now, they claim that it is not, but I think that anyone that views it with an open mind can see that there is a lot encoded into it, and I'm hoping to be doing a series on that coming up. Now, here we have, this is not the figure of Jesus Christ. This is the figure of Antichrist, and he has just come out of a canal which represented the birth canal, the birth of the Antichrist, or the birth of the Antichrist spirit. There isn't just one Antichrist, by the way. There have been many people throughout the ages operating in the spirit of Antichrist, but there will be only one actual person that will fulfill that role. However, there are lots of people that have the spirit of Antichrist, because any who deny the name of Christ are called Antichrist. So there has been an Antichrist, and there's been many political figures and so forth through the ages. Hitler, for one. Hitler was an Antichrist figure, no doubt about it. Nero and others. All right, so behind this Antichrist figure, you will see what is clearly recognizable as Notre Dame Cathedral. And let me just play this. And here he is waking up He's got the triangle, the Luciferian triangle here. He's got the third eye, symbolic of enlightenment. And this is not enlightenment of God. This is the Luciferian Antichrist. And behind him, once he wakes up, he is in a boat. Actually, he has come through this canal, and behind him is a church which looks exactly like Notre Dame. I think any of us would recognize it as such. Now, he's waking up. He's on this boat. What is behind him is the back of the boat. If you're wondering what that is, watch this. This is the cathedral. You are going to see it crumble, and you are going to see something very iconic. You are going to see the spire fall. And that was very iconic because, isn't it interesting that they made sure this picture was shown everywhere from every angle? News people just happened to be there. Some of them were just happened to be vacationing there. Yeah, what are the odds of that? All right, so let's go back here and let's tie this together with what I'm trying to get across here. I'm going to try to make this quick for you. Now, thank you to the person that brought this to my attention. The Notre Dame Cathedral building. The Cathedral Notre Dame de Paris is often affectionately referred to as the forest because of the many wooden beams that have been used in its construction. Now, yes, I could go through all of this and read the rest of this, but it's not important to the point that I'm wanting to make. Okay, so let's keep in mind that the Cathedral Notre Dame de Paris is affectionately referred to as the forest. Keep that in mind. Let's move ahead. Now, remember, let's go back just a little bit. I'm sure you all remember when George Herbert Walker Bush died, and remember how James Comey said that his dog Benji had died. Well, James Comey did not have a dog. That was a form of communication to those in the cabal, the deep state, whatever you want to call it. It was symbolic communication to them. And Comey has continued to communicate symbolically through his Twitter page, and there have been many strange tweets lately. One was him standing in a cornfield, another was him standing in the middle of the road, and another was him standing dwarfed by these giant redwood trees. He was photographed in a forest, so he obviously had, that wasn't a selfie, this was an intentional photograph taken of him looking up at these giant redwood trees. Now, we know, and if you have studied history at all, you know that the elite, the cabal, Luciferians, the mystery schools, the Gnostics, all communicate via symbols. Symbols rule the world. Now, if you doubt that, you just think about the little Nike swish. That's just a little swish. You can see that swish anywhere in the world and recognize it as Nike, right? Because that is the power of symbolism. That is why we have trademarks. That is why we have logos. It's the power of a symbol. When you see a red circle with a dot in between, you don't have to see Target. You know what that represents. Same thing with many, many, many things. The golden arches. You can see the golden arches. Doesn't have to say McDonald's underneath it, but anyone in the entire world, unless you're, a tribe on the Amazon that don't have TV, or any other form of communication, you know what that means. Symbols rule the world. Anyone in advertising knows that. Anyone in the art world knows that. Art is full of symbolism, and that is why people study art for years and years and years. People go into, that is why people like me, because I am one of those strange people, that will go into a gallery and will stand there for a very long time taking in all the symbolism, because the great artists all used it. All of them. And there are things that can be communicated via art that cannot be communicated via other ways. All right, I think we agree on that. So we know that the Cabal, the Deep State, the Luciferians, the Gnostics, the mystery schools are all communicating via symbols, including people such as James Comey. So what was he saying here? What was he saying with this picture? Now, forgive me, this is a little bit blurry because it is a picture of a picture, but here is little James Comey here, little lying, leaking Comey, and here are these giant redwood trees. He is dwarfed by them. All right, and here he says, so many questions. I don't think anybody knew what he meant by that when he tweeted it, but I knew, and I probably all of you knew that saw it, knew that it meant something, and it was a communication to someone. It signaled something. He was communicating. He was communicating to the people that knew what he meant by this. So what did he mean by it? Well, let's look. So he's in a forest. He's in the forest. Notre Dame, affectionately known as the forest. All right. And he's in a redwood forest. What does that mean? Well, let's look at what the redwood symbolizes. It is considered to be a symbolism of wellness, safety, longevity, wisdom, and communication. To walk in a redwood forest is to enter nature's cathedral. Nature's cathedral. Cathedral. Notre Dame, also known as the forest. Here, James Comey walking in nature's cathedral, looking up. So many questions. All right. Okay. Now here it says the tree also symbolizes vitality and longevity and can grow to 1,000 years old. Well, actually, that is in part true. Yes, it can live to 1,000 years old. But let's look at the lifespan of a redwood tree. Shall we? All right. Yes, that's right. The redwood, 2,000 years. That's the lifespan of a redwood. 2,000 years. Why is Comey in a redwood forest, excuse me, in this so-called cathedral of nature? These trees live to 2,000 years, and Notre Dame, also known as the forest. And how long has Christianity been around? 2,000 years. Christ dying on a tree, the cross. Now, this is interesting. 2,000 years, the lifespan of a coast redwood. All right. Time, all of our time is, so many people say, oh, Jesus didn't exist. And yet, all of our time is marked by his birth. All of it. Because time is marked BC and AD. Before Christ, after dissension. Right? So, Christianity, as we know it, has been around for 2,019 years. Around 2,000 years. Interesting. Is it possible, since it was already foretold that this fire would take place, and they certainly did not take many pains in trying to stop it from burning, could it be that this is a symbol of the death of Christianity and the birth of the Antichrist spirit on the earth? The death of traditional Christianity. Of course, Christianity, those who really and truly worship Christ, we don't need to go to a cathedral because our body is the temple. And those of us who, call upon his name and believe that he was a sacrifice for our sins, it doesn't matter what they do. They can wipe out Christianity from the face of the earth. It won't change God. It won't change anything. They cannot wipe out what Christ has done and who he is. but they sure are trying, aren't they? They sure are trying. And I believe that this is a demarcation, just as 9/11 was a demarcation, that everything that happened, everyone refers to it. Well, this happened before 9/11 and this happened after 9/11. It's a demarcation, just like all of time is marked by the birth of Christ. Well, I believe this too is a demarcation, and not a good one. I think that spire falling was iconic, and it was meant to be captured by that many news people because it was so important to get that image to the world. It's fallen. It's falling, and something else will take its place. What is going to take its place? We're not going to like it. I can assure you of that. Now, I know you're not all believers, and I know that some of you will vehemently disagree with what I have to say, and that's okay. You're always welcome here. I'm always going to be giving you the news as I see it. Now, sometimes I report and just, whatever, but this is something that I feel quite confident that there is something to this, and something is happening here, and I believe that it is spiritual in nature. And that is where I'm going to leave it for now. I do hope that you will put your comments in the comments below. I do read those. I try to read them all. Sometimes I can't get to every single one of them, especially when they get up into the hundreds and hundreds. But I do try. So please leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. And thank you guys at least for giving me the time and hearing me out. I appreciate it more than you can know. Have a great night. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and remember, always seek truth, because deception bites.